This is the 2021 Ford Ranger XLT, and it's available in a few different configurations. The one in behind us is the SuperCrew with a full 4-door and a 5-foot box. We've got the option for the Super Cab, which is going to be the 2 full-door, 2 half-doors, and a 6-foot box instead. It's going to be powered by the same 2.3-liter engine regardless of which trim level of the vehicle you're looking at. And when we get the factory towing option, it's going to let us pull up to 7,500 pounds, which is incredible. Steve here, Cars with Steve, and before we get started looking into this vehicle, I want to give Formula Ford a huge shout out and a thank you for giving me access to this vehicle to shoot the video for you today. Check down in the description below for their contact details. But let's dive into it, have a little bit of fun, and see what the 2021 Ford Ranger has to offer. Taking a look at some basic styling of the vehicle. So this specific Ranger, it is the Cyber Orange, which I think it pops quite a little bit. It almost looks yellow, a little bit of a tinge of orange there and there as well. Now the Sport Appearance package inside of the Ranger is going to give us a few things. We've got this nice machine kind of look wheel to it. Really, really nice. We've got the option for the all-terrain tire. Now on top of that, we do have the option for the FX4 off-road package, which is going to give us off-road suspension, a different tire, as well as skid plates. So if you're taking the vehicle off-road constantly, I definitely recommend looking at that FX4 package. But if you're going to be using it as a primary daily driver, definitely stay away from the FX4 because it's going to change the dynamics of the ride itself. But really nice fender flare poppet along the side. Moving a little bit further back along the body. So this is the 4-door, so the SuperCrew configuration of the vehicle. Now one thing to point out, we do not have the option of getting running boards standard in any package. It is available as an add-on through the factory, or you can do something aftermarket. And there's a few different styles that are available. So you're either looking at a chrome or a standard black running board as well, which is going to stretch along the entire body of the vehicle to get in and out of the vehicle a little bit easier. Now I'm 6 feet tall, so I can obviously get in and out of this thing a little bit easier, but if you're like 5'5", 5'6", you definitely want to look at the running boards as an option, and so that you're not hopping up in order to get inside of this thing. Taking a peek under the hood. Now in the North American market, there is only one engine choice available, and that's the 2.3-liter EcoBoost engine. From a power perspective, it's going to be able to push out 270 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. Now when it comes down to it, we've got easy access to a few things, so if we need to top up our fluids, we can easily do that. So easy access there, easy access to our battery, and then we can also easily check our oil if we need to. Now we are looking at the 302A version of the Ranger, so standard technology. We've got our backup camera along the top. We've also got the reverse sensing system, so lets us know what's going on as we start to back up. Now on top of that, we've got our blind spot system, so lets us know if anybody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. And there's also the lane keeping system, which is going to either give us a little bit of a nudge, or it's going to shake the steering wheel a bit, almost as if we're running over rumble pavement as we drive. So really, really nice from that perspective. Now because we're in the 302 version of the vehicle, we also do have that rear sliding window. Now it is manual sliding. It's not going to be a power sliding inside of the Ranger, regardless of what trim level you're looking at. When it comes down to towing inside of the Ranger, so regardless of which trim level you're looking at, whether it's the SuperCrew or the Super Cab, it's going to be able to pull the same. Factory towing option is going to give you up to 7,500 pound towing capacity inside of this tiny 2.3-liter turbocharged engine. So plenty of power from that perspective, tons of things that we can tow. Now one thing to note about the towing capacity, that's going to be total towing capacity, which also includes your payload. So if you've got like 1,000 pounds of materials in the bed of the truck, a few passengers and things like that, your towing capacity is going to drop by 1,000 to 1,500 plus pounds. So definitely something to take into account. But as you can see there, with the tow package from the factory, we've got the receiver and the 4 7-pin wiring harness there also. Looking at the bed of the vehicle, so taking a look, this is the 5-foot box. We do have the option of just unlocking from the key fob in order to be able to open this thing up. Let's kind of spin you around so you can see what the dimensions are looking like in this thing. So box size dimensions are going to be showing up there. Now we are looking at the 5-foot box. We do have the option for the 6-foot box instead. And one of the nice things is that even if you get the 5-foot box, you do have the option to get the bed extender as well. So we can extend that out and we can keep this thing locked down if we need that little bit of extra space. So if you need the interior space for that 4 or 5-seater, we do have the option of extending this thing out by getting that bed extender in order to be able to lock things in as we're traveling. So something to take into account there. Now a few things to note, unlike the F-150, we do not have more than 4 tie downs and they're going to come standard. You could look at some aftermarket bolt-ons. Now in order to fill up the vehicle, very straightforward. Along our driver's side, we've got a little cutout there. We're just going to press and open up, and it's a capless system. So just insert your fuel hose, fill up, and you're good to go. Click it in order to lock it back into place. When it comes to fuel quality, just regular 87 gas, 87 octane is all you need. So minimum manufacturer's recommendation. Now having said that, The horsepower and the torque specs that we were looking at, we're using a premium fuel. So in a turbocharged engine, you technically should be taking a little bit more care using a higher quality fuel, but if you want to get better mileage out of it as well, look at that higher octane instead. Now, taking a peek at the key fob of the Ranger. So this is the way that the key fob is going to look in the XL or the XLT trim level of the vehicle. Now, remote start isn't going to be standard. It is available as an option in the lower trim levels, and it's standard in the 302A version of the vehicle. But if we don't have remote start on the key fob, don't worry about it, because we can use the Ford Pass app on our cell phone to remote start directly through our phone instead. But looking, we do have our key along the very top. We've got our unlock and our lock button, our remote start, as well as our horn or a panic alarm button. In order to be able to remote start through the fob, all we're going to do is press the lock button once and circle button twice. So as you can see there, vehicle is remote started. In order to cancel the remote start, we're going to press that circle button once, and the vehicle remote start is now canceled. With the SuperCrew version of the Ranger, I've got the driver's seat set up for somebody 6 feet tall. I'm 6 feet tall. I still have a decent amount of knee room and a little bit of room for my feet as well. Up overhead, I've got about 2.5, almost 3 inches of headspace. So taller people can get in the back of the vehicle. Now, something to take into account, if you need that bigger box, so that 6-foot box instead, and you get the super cab, the back seats, you're essentially gonna be losing a foot in the back as well. So definitely something to take into account, because if you've got some taller people, you're gonna have to look at the option for the bed extender instead. Now, one other thing to note, if you've got children that are gonna be in car seats, if they're gonna be that rear facing, so they're going to be facing the back of the vehicle, if you have the seats moved up a bit more, they'll be able to fit, but it might be tight inside of the Super Cab version of the vehicle. The SuperCrew that we're in, they could probably fit if you get those seats forward a little bit more, but you might need to look at an F-150 as an option instead. Taking a look at some basic features in the back, as you can see, the driver's side does not have that pocket, but the passenger side does. Moving into the back of the console, you can see there we've got a little storage space along the top, a few traditional USB ports, as well as a 150-watt adapter. So if we need to plug in a traditional wall outlet, we've got the ability to easily do that. Now, as we start to move along the back seat, so a few things to point out. First, let's get rid of that seatbelt. You can see along the top, we do have a little pull that we can pull this down nice and tight, but we've got some cup holders in the back, and we can lift that up in order to lock it back into place again. Now, one other thing to note, we can crank this up in order to fold this whole seat down. So let's crank that up, and let's jump back, and as you can see there, this whole thing comes down. You can just kind of make it out along the back there, but we do have our jack for if we ever need to change the wheel ourselves, and there's that white spigot along the side, and that's going to be useful if we ever need to fill up the car using a jerry can. So what we would do is put that into the tank first, jerry can after that, and you're set to go. Pulling back, click, in order to lock it back into place. Now, one other thing to note, we do have this little handle along the bottom. We can crank that in order to lift the whole seat up. And as you can see there, we do have a little bit of storage space along both the driver and the passenger side, which is a nice little touch. Same thing, drop in order to lock it back into place. And looking along the outside door, as you can see there, we do have the SecuriCode, which is available as an aftermarket add-on, or you can get it from the factory as well. So 5-digit code in order to be able to get access to the vehicle if you don't have your fob on you. As we start to hop inside, looking at the driver's door, we've got our unlock and our lock button, door handle, our window controls, as well as the ability to kill off power to those rear windows. Moving down, we've also got a little pocket so we can store some things if we need to. Just to the left-hand side of the steering wheel, so we can adjust our side view mirrors if we need to. Moving down a bit more, we can turn our fog lamps on or off. We can figure out what's going on with our running lamps. And we've also got our dimmer switch for the instrument cluster, so we can make that cluster screen brighter or darker as necessary. We can also turn our box lighting on. Adjusting the driver's seat inside of the Ranger is going to be a power process inside of the 302 version of the vehicle. And that's going to be power driver and power passenger. Now, it's partial power. When we get into the lower trim level, it's going to be manual. Higher trim level inside of the Lariat, you're going to be power adjustable as well. Now, along the very side, we've got a series of different buttons and levers and things like that. So the very first one is going to bring the seat forwards and backwards. We can lift the whole seat up, or we can lower the whole seat down. Now, one thing to note, with the seat all the way down and the seat all the way back, so as I mentioned, I'm 6 feet tall. So with the seat all the way down and it's still going back, it's actually kind of crazy. But up overhead, I've got about 5 inches of headspace, about 4.5 inches of headspace up overhead. So if you're a little bit taller, you could probably fit inside of the Ranger okay. You might have to look at the F-150 as an option instead though. We've got another little circular button, and that's going to be for our power lumbar support, which is really, really nice if you need a little bit of extra support for your lower back. And then we've got another little lever along the back. Cranking that up is going to be for our backrest. So we can move that forwards and backwards as necessary, release in order to lock it back into place. Now, regardless of the trim level that you're looking at, adjusting the steering wheel inside of the Ranger is going to be a manual process. So just by our left knee, we've got another little lever. We're just going to crank that down, and it's a telescopic wheel. So we can go in and out, we can go up and down with it. Once we've got that perfect position, we're just going to take it, click it in order to lock it back into place. Next up, let's take a peek at the steering wheel. So dive in depth and figure out what this thing is all about. So starting off on the left-hand side, this is going to be the adjusting buttons for that instrument cluster screen. So we can go up and down through different screens. We can go to the left as well if we need to go in between different options, go to the right in order to move forward. So as we go back into the menu, we've got our trip counter, so our trip 1, trip 2. We've got our basic truck information. So we've got our power distribution. Driver assistance settings, so we've got the blind spot system, so that lets us know if anybody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. We can just kind of make that out there. So you see that little orange blinking light? That lets us know if anybody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. We've got our trailer, so we've got the ability to enter in our trailer dimensions if we need to. Cross traffic alert, so that lets us know if a vehicle is coming perpendicular to us as we're backing up. We're going to get a little warning alert with that setting turned on. Cruise control, we've got either normal or adaptive. Now the adaptive cruise control is not going to be standard. It is available as an option inside of the technology package. You will get normal cruise control at a minimum, but the adaptive is nice because it's essentially a set it and forget it cruise control. You set it at, let's say, 120 on the highway, car in front of you slows down, yours is automatically going to brake. If they pick up speed or change lanes, get out of the way, yours will pick right back up to your set speed again, which is really nice. Moving back, we've got our driver alert. So driver alert, if we start to veer over too many times without signaling, it's going to tell us we should probably take a break. Lane keeping mode works 3 different ways. So if we start to veer over into a lane with the lane keeping system turned on, one of 3 things will happen. Firstly, is it's going to give us a little bit of a shake, almost as if we're running over rumble pavement. Number 2 is it'll actually give us a gentle nudge and pull us back into our lane. Or number 3, it'll give us a little shake and it'll nudge us to pull us back into our lane again. So we've got some different options there. Intensity is the intensity of the steering wheel shake, and then the alert sensitivity as well to how sensitive is it as we start to veer over. Pre-collision assist, so if the vehicle senses a potential collision, it's going to actively brake for us, and we can turn that pre-collision system on or off if we'd like to. Tire pressure, we can see what's going on with our pressure, and we've also got the trailer sway control. Now this is one of the big reasons why you want to get the trailer tow package directly from the factory, because if the trailer starts to sway, it's automatically going to apply engine braking in order to get that trailer sway under control. So definitely recommend looking at that as an option instead. It is a very useful feature to have. Moving back, we've got some basic settings. So vehicle, we've got some lighting. Our auto high beam. So at night, if it's too dark out, the vehicle's automatically going to flip on the high beams for us. If it senses an oncoming vehicle, it's going to start dimming them before it turns them off. Once that vehicle passes, it'll turn them right back on again for us, which is really, really nice. And then our auto lamp delay, when we go to lock the vehicle, are the lamps going to turn off automatically? Is it going to stay on for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, or 120 seconds? Moving back down, we've got some basics for our lock. So our auto unlock and lock. We've got our mislock, our switch inhibitor, and then our remote unlock as well. So when we go to unlock the vehicle, do all doors become unlocked, or is it just the driver's door? We've got our neutral tow mode, which I don't have anything hooked up right now, so that's not going to be an option. Our oil life reset. Remote start. So the system itself, we can remote start through the key fob or through our cell phone. We can disable the remote start completely if we wanted to. But when we remote start, what happens? Is it going for the climate? Is it going to go to our last settings, or is it going to let the vehicle determine what the cabin temperature should be? Our seats, do our heated seats come on? Yes or no? And the duration of the remote start. So 5, 10, or 15 minutes. Basics for the seatbelt. So what seatbelts are currently plugged in as of right now? So I've just got the one in the back passenger side currently connected. Our wiper. So we've got our courtesy wipe. Now, one of the nice things about the courtesy wiper is that with the wiper going on, what will happen is if we have our wipers going, it comes to a complete stop. What it'll do is it'll wait a few seconds, it'll go one more time just to get rid of any excess liquid that might be on the windshield. And that's going to be the basics of those vehicle settings. Moving back, we've got our My Key, which gives us the ability to create certain limitations for a key fob. So if you don't want the vehicle going past a certain speed on a certain fob, you can lock that out fairly easily. Moving down, we've got our display, so we've got our basics for our distance, so kilometers, liters per 100, miles per gallons, etc. Our temperature, Celsius or Fahrenheit. We've got our tire pressure measurements, our language, so English, Spanish, or French. And that's going to be the basics of our settings there, and that's going to be the basics of this instrument cluster. as we start to move down, so this vehicle is equipped with the adaptive cruise control system. So with the adaptive cruise control system turned on, we can easily turn that one on or off. We've got our distance indicator, so how close or how far are we from the vehicle that's in front of us. Once we're at our set speed, we can either plus or minus there, and then we can either increase or decrease 1 kilometer or 1 mile per hour at a time. Now the system itself, the adaptive cruise control, if it senses an oncoming vehicle that's in front of you, it's going to automatically slow you down. But if you kind of jump the gun and you brake, you can resume by pressing the button along the top, or you can cancel it out or turn the system off if you'd like to. Moving along the right-hand side, we can either change between songs or radio stations, we can increase or decrease our volume, and we can also change our sources. So we can go between AM, FM, Sirius XM. If our phone was connected, things like that, they would all show up and they would cycle through if we need to. Moving down a bit more, we can either answer or hang up on a phone call. We can also use our voice for changing the radio stations. We can navigate or we can make phone calls as well, which is really, really nice. Moving down, we can mute out our audio if we need to. And then these are going to be hot button presses for the actual center screen. So we can go into our settings if we need to, or we can hot button press in order to go back to our menu screen instead. Now as we start to move in a little bit, so we've got a few different sticks. So our left stick there, very tip, is going to give us the ability to turn our lane keeping system on or off if we needed to. And then we can turn our blinkers on, and then we can also flash our high beams if we wanted to. Now one thing to note, when we're in the auto mode setting, we won't be able to permanently lock out our high beams. So with the lights off, or within our auto setting, we won't be able to permanently lock them out. We need to be one of the other settings in order to be able to lock out our high beams if we'd like to. But like I mentioned, we do have the auto high beams that are available as a default as well. Now moving off to the right side, as you can see, that right stick is going to adjust how much liquid is going to hit the windshield. And then we can turn our wipers on from there if we need to, pull in towards us in order to actually activate the wipers. Now as we move off to the right-hand side, beautiful Sync 3 screen. Now this specific one does have factory navigation. If yours didn't, don't worry about it, because you can connect either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, wired connection using USB, and you can use Apple Maps, Google Maps, or Waze directly through this middle screen instead. So if you don't have factory navigation, not a big deal, but really nice, big, beautiful screen. Now I'm just going to go through a quick little walk around, but if you're looking for the more in-depth version, check down in the description below for that full Sync 3 walk around. Starting off, let's take a look at a few things. So we've got our basic for audio. We've got some more advanced climate control settings, which if we look down the center stack, we've got some basic settings there as well, but just some more advanced ones as we go through. We do have dual zone climate control, the basics for our fan control as well, air circulation and things like that. We can easily connect either Android or iPhone devices. Factory navigation, very straightforward. And we've also got some basics for settings. So we can change out the treble, mid-range, bass, basic sound settings, change our display, and our basic voice control as well. Back to the home screen again. Now as we start to move down, we've got our four-way blinkers. We can easily turn those off if we need to. We've also got our volume rocker, so we can adjust from there. We can turn the system on or off. We can either change songs or radio stations, play or pause. Now we do have a tuning rocker there, so we can change out the station that we're on if we need to. We've also got the ability to, under our audio settings, do a direct tune, or like I said, we've got the ability easily just to go through our voice and change the stations that way. That's probably going to be the best way to do it instead. Moving back down, we've got dual zone climate control on the outside there, so we can adjust as necessary. We've got our fan control and basics for our climate control. Now in the vehicle that we're in, the 302 version, we do have heated front row seats. We're never going to have heated second row seats inside of the Ranger, so something to point out there. And we've got a few 12-volt ports there also, so both on the driver and the passenger side. Moving down a bit more, as you can see, we've got a few USB ports there. And then we've also got our engine start-stop button. So if that engine start-stop is driving you nuts, you can disable it on a case-by-case basis. We've got our tow haul mode. We can also change that. We can turn off that beeping that we get as we go into reverse. And we can turn our traction control system on or off as well. Moving down a bit more, we can change between our 2 high, 4 high, or our 4 low. And we've also got our shifter. We've got our park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then the sport mode. Sport mode essentially is just going to hold the gears a little bit longer. We do have the option of adjusting, so we can go plus or minus to change the gear manually if we want to. Moving down a bit more, we've got our e-brake, so easily adjust that as necessary, and a few cup holders. Then we also do have a little console in the middle there, so a little bit of storage space if we need to. And click it in order to lock that back into place. Now as we start to move up, we've got a little storage space along the top of that Sync 3 screen. And as we start to go up overhead, 302 version of the vehicle, so we do have an auto-dimming rear view mirror, basic cabin control lighting, and then we've also got, there we go, our sunglasses holder. And then we've got our vanity mirror. No lights on top of that. And we can crank this out and slide it to the side a little bit if we need to block a little bit more sun. Turn it, click it in order to lock it back into place. Now one other thing to note, the Ranger's never going to have the option for a sunroof from the factory. You could technically look at doing something aftermarket if you really wanted to. And then along the back, as you can see there in the 302 version of the vehicle, we also do have a manual sliding window. Now that is available in some of the other options, but it will be standard inside of the 302 version of the vehicle. Well, folks, that was a quick look at the 2021 Ford Ranger XLT. What did you think? If you have any questions, drop it into the comments section below, and I'm more than willing to talk you through any issues that you might be having. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Think about subscribing and sharing it with your social networks. And until I see you next time, make sure you stay safe. Now, one other thing to point out with this emergency, moving a